Well, it's just about 3 o'clock in the morning of Friday, and I've just done hour number 9 of my city tour. In the last hour I've decided to just walk around the city, just get a feel of early morning life in the city, and there's still people out. I mean, there's still people out. I had one man who came up to me asking for directions to Earlham, but other than that, very, very quiet in the city, not so many people as the hour before. I think most party goers have gone home, and there's more kind of taxis now rather than any other kind of car. It's basically just taxis parading the roads as I ride round. I suppose one of the most surprising things about the last hour is that I can hear birds. I went to Castle Gardens, and that's where I heard my first tweets since yesterday morning. It was absolutely fantastic to know that just before 3 o'clock on a morning in the city, you've got the wildlife, and even if I sit here now outside this window, I can still hear the birds. So they're running even at 3 o'clock in the morning across the city, which is fantastic, and I hope to hear more of them as I go through the morning. I've got about 6 hours to do, I think, up to 9 o'clock this morning, and big hour coming up, so I'll report back in about an hour's time. Well, it's 4 o'clock on my city tour. That's 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been going on since about 6 o'clock yesterday evening, so I'm in that kind of 10th hour, 11th hour of the tour so far. Walking at the moment is extremely difficult. If you've been walking non-stop literally for 10 hours, your legs get very, very, very painful. I'm obviously not fit enough to do this, but I'm going on for another about 5 hours actually. I go on till 9 o'clock, so I'm already halfway through, definitely, probably 2/3 of the way through the tour. In the last hour I've been able to record some bird noises because the dawn chorus is starting. I also met BBC Radio Norfolk early morning presenter Wally Webb outside the forum to have a chat with him about his early morning shift.
Do you think there's any kind of therapeutic part of working in the night time in the morning?
Therapeutic? That depends whether you need therapy or not. Doesn't it?
I suppose so.
I mean, I was pretty sane when I started it, and I like to think I'm still pretty sane now, but now, I mean, for me, this is a fantastic work pattern. See, I live 8 miles out of the city. Now, if you worked at any other time of the daylight hours, you'd never get here in 12 minutes.
Really?
So every morning I know, I leave the house. I mean, this whole thing is like running to clockwork. I made sure I gave you an extra 5 minutes this morning. So it's a 12-minute journey in. There's never any incidents, hardly any traffic. So I have a very comfortable, stress-free drive in. Never any problem parking. I get into the office, and there aren't distractions like telephones and people wanting to know this and saying hello to somebody else. Yeah. So I come in, I know what I need to do, and I get on with it. And then, like now, you see, I mean, it's just like I take a break, come out here, have a cigarette, but I'm working at the same time for all the stuff I've prepared. So for me, I can concentrate entirely on the job without any distractions and without any of the hassle that you get in daytime.
In the day-to-day
So,
life.
okay, I can't nip out to the shops now, but then I'll just make sure I've got everything I've got.
And prepare yourself.
With me,
Yeah, of course. Well, no, I was speaking to the forum people earlier, and they were saying, obviously on Thursday, late night shopping night, and on Friday morning, Friday night being quite kind of...
Yeah, sometimes sometimes Thursdays, a lot of clubs seem to have late night things on a Thursday or a Wednesday night, because Thursday morning sometimes when I come in, they're all dragging themselves back towards the UEA. You see them walking across Chapel Field and
yeah, exactly.
looking a bit bedraggled and whatever. I mean, there are some nights in the week where there's things going on where there are quite a lot of people around.
What's the best part of working in the kind of early morning shifts? You know, it's 3 o'clock. What's the best part of it, really, for you, as who's been doing it for so many years?
Well, you say the best part. I mean, that's difficult to add anything to what I've just said about, you know, just having no hassle, being able to do the job. I like to concentrate on the work, so that for me is the best part of it. If I had to do this same show during the day, a lot more hassle.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd have trouble parking and everything else that goes with it.
I suppose what you're doing is echoing, and what you're saying is echoing the people who listen, who call in to your show in the early mornings.
That's the other thing, that you're able to respond, because so many people listen online now. I've got people who email in regularly, early in the morning, from Australia and America, from Jamaica, Egypt, all over the place, you know, and over the years, we've more or less had someone from every part of the globe.
Blimey.
So, and you've got time on the programme to be able to do that. Because it's an early morning show, you don't have guests coming in.
No, of course not.
No one else wants to come in at this time in the morning.
No, of course not.
So, you know, you've got to create the programme out of what is to hand, and what is to hand are the people who are up at that time.
And a lot of people call in to the show?
Yeah,
I can imagine it, yeah.
It gets very busy, and of course I don't have a programme assistant either, so I have to handle all the calls, the emails, the texts, as well as doing the programme. But again, for me, that's so intense that the show just goes so quickly, and I've got complete control on it.
Yeah, and you work in the forum, which has glass planes. So in the summertime, I reckon, you know, you have a very nice kind of light skyline.
I get 1 week in the summer, the lightest week, where I'm coming in half light. That's the nearest I get. But of course, after I've done the show, the other half of my shift is going out, reporting into the breakfast show outside. So I love driving, so that's another part of the job that I like too. And getting out and actually interviewing people face to face in a live situation, which again is challenging. So for me, you know, this shift is like perfection.
Brilliant. And if you were asked to do an evening show, then I suppose you'd be very hard on the old body clock work.
No, not really. No, because I'm pretty disciplined. So I did 11 years in the Air Force.
Really? Right.
And you never lose that discipline. So no. I mean, I've had a really heavy week this week. I've been out every night this week.
Really?
Yeah. So I was out I was in the city last night till 9 o'clock.
Oh, of course.
And then I got home, watch a bit of telly, have a quick scotch, and live in bed. I usually go to sleep about 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. So when do you have breakfast then? Because it must be quite a long time.
Well, again, you get a pattern. You know, I'll have a cup of tea now. I'll make a cup of tea at 5 o'clock. And after at 5 o'clock, I always take one sandwich in with me, and I have that just after 5. And then I won't eat then until I have a snack about 11:30.
Right.
I have a snack.
Bit
and
of a break then,
I have 1 hour's sleep from 1 till 2.
Right.
And again, my body clock, I don't set an alarm, my body clock wakes me up. I have 1 hour, that recharges me.
We all wish we could be like you, Wally.
And then after 2 o'clock, that's my day off. I treat that, I've got up, and I've got, you know, time to myself then. So that's when I do things that I want to do, if you like. So I'm working alternate days in my head. Yeah,
of course.
So that's my pattern, but that's how I live.
Exactly, and you've done it so many years now, so it's obviously part of your body clock routine.
About 20 years, this particular shift, yeah.
Well, it's about 5 o'clock and it's my city tour. I've kind of miscounted the hours, but I've been doing this for, it must be about 11 hours now. I started 6 o'clock yesterday evening, there's about 5 now, so as I say, about 11 hours. And in the last hour, between 4 and 5, I've been seeing more of a kind of Friday morning shift of staff come in, people like the news agents, for which I'll be going around in a minute to see. But the Royal Mail, for instance, and a Milk Float, the Norwich Evening News, they've all kind of come in around about in the last hour or so. There's some news agents even open right now. So yeah, it's been I think a break, a mark of the tour to say actually 4 o'clock. This is where Friday morning really begins. And there's still people, there's still loads and loads of people out on the streets like Prince of Wales Road. There's quite a lot of people in around the taxi firm company places. So on Prince of Wales Road there's a taxi building, and quite a lot of party people are scattered around there. But there's still people partying in clubs. The clubs are still going on. I went to the Riverside and talked to the Premier Inn staff and found out what early morning shifts were like there.
So you work in the early morning shift, as with a late night to early morning shift. When does your shift start and end usually if you're working in kind of?
We start at 10 and we finish at 7 in the morning.
7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And you must get quite a few people coming in at 10 after the late night shopping, shopping in the city. People coming in to rest before leaving out again, or maybe from parties.
Primarily, we get people, business people, people who full asleep on the train, and party goers. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Is Thursdays better or kind of more?
They've picked
busy?
up recently. Student notes are now going on in the city at the moment. Teo is a big one for that at the moment. They've got a new student night in. So they are picking up now. There wasn't so much over the Christmas period. Everything was pretty much dead.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's all picking up now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot busier.
Do you find working this time of the hours of the day therapeutic? Is it something that you choose by choice? Or?
No.
No? Why is that then? Is it something that more kind of out of the hours?
I'll tell you what, I don't believe people who work during the day have any idea that there are people that work during the night. Like, seriously, people believe that fairies come and do everything.
During that, yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it's oddly calming, particularly around this time in the morning. Not a lot happens, but it's weird to see people coming back from a night out and their reactions and what they're doing, and I'll tell you what, it has a big effect on your own social life, as it were. I would not go out and get pissed anymore because I've seen what it does to people.
Exactly.
And it's not very nice.
Yeah, so it's very educational, right, to work in this kind of. And when you leave the place at 7, you kind of in the summer, I suppose you've got the sunrise at some point of the morning. It must be quite nice to go home and have the whole day free before you have to come back.
Very weird.
Very weird.
Very weird. It's very hard to begin with. Changing your shift patterns and sleeping and things like that. Again, social life is a big changer because if you have a partner or even just a group of friends, you don't see them as much. My friends seem to think that working nights meant that I was up all the time and up all the time during the night, so I could go out and party and be awake all the time, which is very different.
Definitely not the case,
because you are knackered all the time. But
what do you have to breakfast then? Because it must have quite a big appetite after working.
No, I have a dinner when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the evening.
Oh right. Okay.
Primarily just obviously because for my partner as well, so we have a dinner together. But appetite goes out the window.
Nice. It's something very different lifestyles, really. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for talking to me.
No problem whatsoever.
Well, I've done 12 hours of the city tour now. Started yesterday evening about 6 o'clock, and it's just gone 6 o'clock the following morning, Friday the 13th. And it's been a fantastic walk, I've got to admit. The last 12 hours. I've still got 3 hours to go until 9 o'clock, but I think I've survived the night now, I think, because we're into the morning now. The sky is blue, the sun's just coming up. I've just been going around the city looking at the sunrise, and fantastic, lovely sunrise, and also the fact that the newsagents are starting to come alive now with the new newspapers, the new milk that's been delivered a few hours ago, so things are starting to build up. People walking their dog, people outside the EDP having a quick smoke before they go in. Fantastic to see that morning has actually finally become, because there was some points of last night when I thought, well, is it going to come? How long more? But that's really what I've done in the last hour. I've gone around the city and had a look about what's happening. Now I'm off to Norwich Market. Remember, I went to Norwich Market exactly about 12 hours ago now, to see what was going on in the evening at 6 o'clock. And now I'm going to be going there to see if people are starting to put up their stalls. And then I'm going to be heading over to Norwich Castle to hopefully try to get some nice sunrise photos. And then I'll come back here for another update at 7 o'clock.